Praise the Lord, everyone, and welcome. We're about to dive into this really ancient story, but I promise you, at its heart, it's about a feeling we all know. It's that mix of terror and excitement when life asks you to take a huge leap into the great unknown.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. What would it take for you to leave everything, and I mean everything, behind? Your house, your job, your friends, your whole life, all based on a promise of something better, with absolutely no guarantee you'd ever see it.
All right, so the story we're getting into today comes straight from the book of Genesis. It's about this man named Abram who's just, living his life, doing his thing, and then, out of nowhere, his entire world gets turned completely upside down by this one extraordinary call.
And yeah, we're not talking about a small ask here. This was a call that demanded a complete and total life reset.
Just try to feel the weight of those words for a second. This is a command to abandon everything that makes you, you. Your country, your community, your family. It's basically saying erase your entire identity and just start walking towards a future you know nothing about. To put it in today's terms, it's like getting a text from an unknown number telling you to quit your job, sell your house, and just start driving. And the destination? Oh, you'll find out when you get there. There's no Google Maps, no Zillow, no LinkedIn profile to check. Just pure, radical trust.
But it wasn't just a command, right? It was also a covenant. The risk was absolutely enormous, but the reward that was promised? Wow, it was literally world-changing. Abram is being offered not just personal success, but a legacy that would echo through all of history. An incredible offer tied to a seemingly impossible request.
So where do you even start? How does a person respond to a life-altering proposition like that one?
And get this, he was 75 years old. Let that sink in for a minute. This isn't some 20-something looking for an adventure. This is a man, well into what should be the final chapter of his life, being asked to start a completely new book. That totally changes things, and it shows you the incredible depth of faith this required.
And what's so wild is his reaction. He doesn't argue, he doesn't hesitate, he just packs up and goes. But look at what he does along the way. He builds altars. Now, these aren't just empty rituals. Think of them as physical markers of his commitment. He's literally staking his claim of faith in a land that is completely foreign to him.
But you know how these journeys go. The initial bursts of faith and excitement is almost always met with a harsh dose of reality. And for Abram, the first major test was right around the corner.
So he's just arrived in the so-called Promised Land, and bam, a famine hits. A severe one. Suddenly, they're forced to seek refuge in a powerful foreign nation, Egypt. The divine promise must have felt so distant in that moment, when just surviving became the top priority.
And this is where things get really interesting, and honestly, really human. We see this complete split in Abram's character. The same guy who showed incredible faith by leaving everything now starts operating purely out of fear. The man who built altars to God now builds a plan based on deception. It's like he trusted God with his ultimate destiny, but he didn't trust him with his immediate safety.
And this is the core of his fear-based plan. He actually asks his wife Sarai to lie and say she's his sister. He's essentially using her as a human shield to protect himself. It's a shocking moment of moral compromise, and it's all driven by pure terror.
And this comparison just says it all, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the man who heard a divine call and set out on this amazing journey of faith. And on the other, you have a man so paralyzed by fear that he's willing to risk his own wife to save his skin. It's the same person, just showing two totally different sides.
So how did that plan work out for him? Well, in a way, it kinda worked. He was spared, and he even got wealthy out of the deal. But his wife was taken into Pharaoh's palace. The whole mess is only resolved when God steps in and sends plagues, which exposes the lie. And in the end, Abram gets humiliatingly kicked out of Egypt. His plan, born from fear, ultimately ended in failure and shame.
Okay, so that's a great story, but so what? Why does this ancient story about faith and failure matter to any of us today? Well, let's break it down into 3 practical steps for our own journeys.
Okay, so first step, answer your call. We all get those nudges in life, right? Those opportunities to step into something new and unknown, even when it's terrifying. Second, build your altars. Just like Abram, we need our own markers to keep us grounded, whether that's journaling, meditation, talking with a mentor, whatever it is that reminds you of your why. And finally, number 3,
trust through crisis. Look, Abram's story guarantees that fear is going to show up. You will stumble. The key is to remember that one mistake, one moment of fear doesn't have to end the entire journey.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. The hero of our story, he messes up. Profoundly. We're always chasing this idea of a perfect journey, but what if that's not the point? This story seems to suggest that maybe the goal isn't to be flawless. Maybe it's just about trying to be faithful, even when you're also afraid and imperfect. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts. And hey, if this story spoke to you today, please do like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.